Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daniel Umstead, host of the RNG radio show, and I want you to stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing because the guest I have on today has been in the real estate industry for, goodness, I have no idea how long, but you're about to find out today. He is an investor, a coach, and strategist. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the RNG radio show, Dee Stevens. Dee, how are you doing today, man?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Man. So tell me, let's start from the beginning. When did you decide that, hey, I need to be a real estate coach and help these people out?
Well, as far as being a real estate coach, it's probably about a year or two ago when I decided to jump into being a real estate coach. Because before then, I wasn't really focused on it. I was just only focused on just rehabbing the properties and flipping them with my team. It's just that so many people kept reaching out to me for help. And it was taking up a lot of my time. So I was like, look, I'm in charge to kind of ease up all these questions in my inbox. And then it just took on a life of its own. And I'm like, man, this is pretty cool, right? And with the coaching, it allowed me to network with other people in other markets that some cities I had never even heard of, right? And just build relationships. So it ended up being something that was unexpected, and that was a blessing for me.
Awesome.
And for the people I work with.
Awesome. I love hearing that. Now, if somebody actually needed you for a coach outside of your funny memes that gets me going every single day, along with your tips that you provide, how can somebody get in contact with you to actually pay you for being their coach?
The best way to find me is on Facebook. Just Dee Stevens, D-E-E, then Stevens, S-T-E-V-N-S. And just send me an inbox, just inbox me, and then we can chat it up and go from there. Now, because somebody reaches out to me doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be a good fit. So it's good that we both have an initial conversation to make sure that I can provide you what you need. And obviously, from my end, that I actually want to work with you, right? Because we got to be able to, we got to make sure we vibe together, right? Because it's easier to make a lot of money together when you're vibing with people and we have the same mindset, which is really a growth mindset. We're going to invest in ourselves. And then from there, everything else generally follows, man. If you have a growth mindset, you invest into yourself, everything else just follows. It just makes it so much easier.
Gotcha. Okay. I love that, man. Now, Dee, you had mentioned, of course, the coaching for 2 years, but prior to that, you have mentioned that you have been doing some real estate investing with rehabbing and such. How long have you been doing that for?
Yeah, well, I bought my first property like when I was like 21, 22, when I was like right at the end of my college career and when I was at Georgia Tech. So I bought my first one. I got a Carson Sheik's program, learned his no money down strategies. I ended up starting a business before I bought a house, but I started the business so I can raise capital. So I raised the capital, was able to go in there and purchase a house with actually no money down. So actually I didn't even need the capital because I ended up getting it at no money down. And then from there, I just kind of got hooked. So that was probably about 2003 or 4, something like that. Right?
Oh, wow.
Then I bought another house. Yeah. But for me, I took a break from it because I started other businesses, right? Because I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I started other businesses and I got into multifamily housing and things of that nature to learn more about that. And so then fast forward to all the way up to 2016, 17, at that point in my life, I was doing like high-end constructions and renovation flips for other investors, right? So in my mind, I was like, okay, for me to really level it up to really do it on a high level, I really need to have capital. So that's the reason why I was doing the high-end constructions and remodeling the homes. But what I realized was that was really a limiting belief for myself, right? Thinking that I have to work hard to get my own money to invest in real estate when that's not even the case, right? And it came from really just masterminding with some other investors and them telling me, okay, this is how you want to do it so you don't have to work yourself to death trying to raise all this capital. And that's when I started to learn about how to leverage other people's money, right? And raise capital so I can go out here and do a renovation flip or do a buy and hold and still stay in the deal, right? So, and I never look back. So that was like 2017, I really amped it up and just switched over to like, I'm full-time investor now, not just somebody going in and helping other investors and all that kind of good stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. That is incredible and amazing to hear, man. Now, I want to dig in a little bit because I know we can pretty much talk about real estate all day long, but I want to dig into a little bit about wholesaling. What is your view on wholesaling? And for the folks at home, it's pretty much simply put, you know, you find a property, you find a distressed property that the owner, preferably absentee owner, does not want anymore, and you discuss with them a price, and then you pretty much turn it over to an investor and you collect that difference. That is wholesaling, folks. There is many things that go along with it, but the simple process is simply that. Dee, since I got you on the show, and I know you've been doing this for a while, what are your views on wholesaling?
Wholesaling, I love it. Right when I switched gears and jumped into full-time as a full-time investor, right? I was still in that mindset of renovation flip, right? So it can take you 3, 6, 8 months to do a flip, right? And that's if you're doing a real heavy flip, right? So, but the span between when you get the property and when you finish the property still takes a long time, right? When you can do a wholesale deal and you can be in and out the deal in like some weeks or less than a month, right? And you're not going to make as much money as you would if you went in there, renovated, and flipped the property. But the volume that you're able to do within that same amount of 6 month, 8 month span is so large that it makes sense to always incorporate wholesaling into your business if you don't already do that as your main focus, right? So for me, wholesaling saved my life. You got what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if you're doing only renovation and flips, I'm telling you, you will run into a liquidity problem. You will, right? In between that halfway mark, generally, and that finish line, okay? Right. When you're waiting on that $50,000 check, right? And then once you get into real estate, you're going to begin to realize that $50,000, $100,000 is not as much as you thought it was when you was working at 9 to 5, right? It's just not. So being able to go out, get a house under contract, and assign your interest over to another end cash buyer, whether you're using hard money, private funds, or just all cash, right? It just makes more sense on a lot of deals, especially if there's a heavy renovation required, but it's going to take several months to rehab and put on the market to sell retail. So I love wholesaling.
Awesome. I love hearing that, man. We need more advocates for it because, you know, they put so much legality on these things, or they say like check your local laws. Well, folks, ultimately you should be checking your local laws in regards to it, but more so I'm finding more people pushing people away from it, when in the sense a lot of people are doing wholesaling and they don't even realize it. It's like, hey man, I got these pair of Jordans, did you want them? I know I bought them for $150, but I'm willing to sell them to you for $70. And it's like, yeah, I'll buy them off for you some $70. And then you realize like, I really didn't need them. And then you resell them for $80 and you just taking that difference. So a lot of people are missing that concept. It just happens to be on a grander scale with it. Now, with wholesaling, as far as, you know, if somebody's going through the process, definitely folks continue on with it. But if somebody's like really hungry for it and wants to get started, what advice would you give somebody just to get started in it?
I recommend starting with your mindset first, right? Because we always have these, I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to always want to be an entrepreneur. It's just like a seed that's in you that's like want to go. But wanting to be an entrepreneur and actually being an entrepreneur can be that bridge that separates that want to and who you actually are can be kind of big, right? So what bridges that gap a lot of times is really your mindset. So I recommend people reading. And if you don't like to read, or you're a slow reader, or you have dyslexia or whatever it is, get an audio book, right? So, or get cliff notes, right? You can get short versions of books where they condense and you just read essentially a book in, you know, a short amount of time. So I do recommend working heavily on your mindset, because that helps brings clarity, focus, and strength, okay? Another thing is you have to carve out time. We're all busy. We all have a life. Many of us have a family or somebody we're taking care of outside of ourselves, right? So that we're responsible for. So you have to carve out time. And you also, I do recommend, understand why you're doing this, right? So you don't lose focus. Understand why you're doing this. Another thing you want to do is surround yourself with people who reflect the future that you want, right? So if you know the people you're hanging around with are broke, or maybe they're well off, but they're working a 9 to 5, but you know in your heart of hearts that you don't want to be working on 9 to 5, right? You want to be out there and be your own boss, or you may want to work a 9 to 5 part-time, but you want to do investing on the side, right? You need to reach out to people, connect with people out there who are doing what you want to do, right? People who are who you want to be, right? These are the people you want to connect with, right? And you want to begin to really mastermind with them, go to events with them, join groups with them, whatever you can to spend more time with these people, because the success is going to rub off on you, just like failure rubs off on you, right? And that extends past just real estate and investing, right? If you're a healthy person, chances are you're probably hanging around with other people who are healthy. If you eat unhealthy, right, and you have issues with health, chances are your friend's going to probably end up having those same issues. So a lot of times it's your circle, okay? So make sure you switch up your circle of people that you're hanging around with, because I know that's one thing that hugely impacted me and helped me propel quickly to get to that next level. And no matter what level you go to, it's always another level. It's always another level. So always keep that growth mindset, all right? So that's what it'll set you up for success. Then after that, it's just really just having a blueprint for wholesaling. First, understanding the concept, right? Then understanding, okay, how can I repeat the process, right? So obviously you want specific types of leads, people who will be motivated to sell their house at a discount if you're looking at a straight wholesaler deal, okay? So these people a lot of times will have either they will be having distressed properties, or they'll be in distress in their life where they need to go ahead and cash out, but they don't have time to put it on the market, or they don't have the money to put repairs in to put it on the market, right? Because in the retail market space where you're listing on MLS with a realtor, it needs to be market ready, right? And a lot of these houses that you're going to probably target on the wholesale side of things are not going to be market ready, right? So it'll just sit there and people will ignore it, right? But as a wholesaler, you're providing a service to the homeowner and say, hey, I know you don't want this ugly house. You're tired of paying taxes on it, or you're behind on taxes. Okay, let me help you out, and I can bring in one of my buyers, if you're not already a buyer, to sell the deal, right? So you have that you have to take care of too, right? And then from there, it's your marketing, right? Reaching out to people who are cash buyers in your market. Reaching out to people who own multiple properties, but they don't live in them, right? That is another source of buyers, right? So you already know exactly who to look for. People who don't want a property, number one. Number two, get it under contract. Number three, get enough eyeballs on that particular property after you got it at a good price that is going to entice somebody else with cash or hard money to purchase the deal. Awesome. And that's how you want to wholesale. And that's in a nutshell.
Wow. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, all that advice for free. You heard it right here on the RNG radio show. I wanted to step in, but I'm like, nah, he's on a roll. So I wanted to back up a little bit, folks, just so you got a clear understanding, because, and we're going to talk about psoriasis analysis in a second, because I know that's where, even for myself, held me up from even continuing on with this radio show, getting in, being a realtor myself. But backing up a little bit, folks, we talked about books. We talked about, getting audio books if you're a slow reader. YouTube has so many books, so many trainings out there that you can easily just type in wholesaling. It might take you a while to find that right one, but when I say a while, I mean a couple of hours. If you search the top 5 and filter out the top 5 as far as who got the most views, you pretty much start with there and move forward. There's practically everybody who's in the real estate industry is doing some form of wholesaling, but just to get that added influence or that basic education, go to YouTube, folks. It's not a matter of money spent, it's just a matter of time spent. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was changing your circle. You know, Dee talked about changing your circle. You know, if you're hanging around people who are sluggish or not being motivated or saying like, there's no way that you can make $1 million by next year, it's time for you to find some new friends. Now, where to find these new friends during this wonderful time period that we're in right now? You have LinkedIn, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, and it's just a matter of searching. You could go through people's pictures, and if they got a bunch of twerking or a bunch of party stuff going on, obviously that's not the friend for you. But if they're showing like, hey, I just got finished doing this listing, or hey, I'm doing this seminar on wholesaling, or hey, I got this real estate guru that I'm going to be talking to, those are going to be the ones that you connect with and want to be coaching with and keeping in your circle. If you're trying to be fit, you would want to talk to a fitness coach. You want to talk to some fat guy or fat gal to help you out. You want to talk to somebody who's already there at that level. So, Dee, I really appreciate that. Now, real quick before we get into Sarah's analysis, I wanted to talk to you about creative financing and what that means for folks. So can you break that down for me?
Yeah. So creative financing, this is real good whether you have capital or you don't have capital, or you have a little capital, but you want to make it stretch as far as you can, okay? With creative financing, there are several, within, up under the umbrella of creative financing, there are several areas, right? Let's talk about one of them, lease options, right? So with lease options, you can do a number of things. You can do a simple lease option, or you can do a sandwich lease option, okay? Now, with this, what that means is, like we talked about wholesaling at first, right? Now, and that's with getting a house under contract when you're going to get a cash buyer, okay? Now, with creative financing and specifically lease options, you still have a buyer, but the buyer changes. In this situation, the buyer is a tenant buyer, okay? So, like I said before, you can do a simple lease option, or you can do a sandwich lease option. So let's start with a simple lease option. A simple lease option is you get a property under contract with a homeowner who has a house vacant, or they have a troubled tenant that's month to month who's not paying, right? You go in and you speak with this homeowner and tell them, hey, how about allowing me to lease out your house for 1 to 3 years, and after that time, look at purchasing the house at a pre-agreed upon price. All right. So let's say you get a house for $100,000 and you can get it at $600 a month. Now, in that particular market, you can rent houses out only for $600 a month, even though it's a $100,000 house. Mm-hmm. This is where you want to do a simple lease option. So what do? You tell the homeowner, hey, I'm going to give you a non-refundable option fee to give me the privilege of leasing the house out for up to 3 years or up to 1 year, however you negotiate, with the option to buy at a later time. All right. Then you go out and then you assign, just like you did before with the wholesaling thing, you go out and assign that lease option agreement out to somebody else. All right, for a fee. Now, you could have said, hey, homeowner, I give you $2,000 down, then turn around and lease option out, assign a lease option out to somebody else for $8,000. Okay, that means you made a $6,000 spread on the deal. And this will come in handy when you run into a lot of homeowners who don't want to reduce the price, because maybe the house is really nice in a great neighborhood and they don't have to reduce the price, but they don't want to go through a real estate agent, or they don't want to pay they don't mind going with a real estate agent. They just may not want to pay the fees to a realtor within that time frame, or they may not want to do the repairs themselves. Okay? So in this situation here, you have a simple lease option. So you assign a creative deal to somebody else, and they pay the $600, and they get an agreement for $100,000 to purchase this house outright a year to 3 years out down the road, right? That's a simple, right? Let's look at a sandwich lease option. Same house, but say we got it for $80,000. And in this market, and we were able to get the rent at, say, $400 a month. In that situation there, you want to do a sandwich, right? So you remain the middleman or middlewoman inside the deal, okay? Now, you can assign you mark it out to somebody else and say, hey, I have a $100,000 house that you can get for $600 per month. I will need a $5,000, $10,000, $8,000 non-refundable option fee down. Okay, so you make your money on that first profit center with the option fee. Okay, you gave the homeowner $2,000, you made a difference of say $6,000 on the option fee. All right, that's the first profit center. Second profit center is the monthly rent. You're paying a homeowner say $400 a month, but the tenant staying in the home is paying you $600. So now you're making a $200 spread on this particular property. That's your second profit center. All right. Now you also have a third profit center when the house actually goes to sale, right? So when the actual tenant buyer purchases this house within 1 to 3 years, you sell the house at $100,000. But keep in mind, you only owe the homeowner $80,000. So then you have a third profit center of $20,000 in cash. That is an example of a creative deal. Now you can do that with lease options that we use in that example. You can also do it with a sub-2, purchasing a property subject to the existing financing. You can do it with a sub-2 wrap, right, where there's existing financing, but the homeowner wants to put on an extra little meat on that bone for them on the back end, right? Or you can do straight out seller financing, because a large number of homes are owned free and clear across the nation. And these homeowners are willing for somebody to lease it out and maybe buy it down the road, right? So you have those different ways of walking into a deal and offering a homeowner more money over and above what you generally would do in a wholesale transaction. So that's creative financing in a quick nutshell that gives you the gist of how you can leverage it to increase your profits and ROI on the back end. And front end. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I'm like going through, I'm like remembering my notes, starting to take stuff down. I'm like, oh, I got to have this for later. So, folks, here's the thing. The information that you just got boils down to one thing. It really boils down to one thing: communication. So yes, you're going to have to talk to these homeowners. Yes, you are going to have some type of agreement put in place. But the main thing is that when you're talking with individuals and you're talking to homeowners, and whether it's starting off as a text, whether it's starting off as an email, or ultimately a phone call, you need to make that connection and communicate with them what you're doing on your end to help them sell the house, and what you will be doing in order to make sure that cash flow is going through. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of these homeowners, especially if they still have a mortgage that they need to pay for, just need to know, like, hey, this mortgage is being covered, right? Okay, cool, awesome. And then in addition, when you're starting off with that lease option, hey, you are ultimately buying that $2,000, but if you need to take out a credit card and you know it's going to be a quick turnaround, especially for me being in the Philadelphia market, a lease option right now, especially with everything going on, would be a perfect opportunity for where I'm located at. And because people are looking for rentals, people just want that security of getting out from their slumlord that they're dealing with right now and going in. The house that's actually right next door to me in the Mayfair neighborhood, the person that moved out the end of May, this is during COVID, folks. Person moved out the end of May. It took them a week to rush because they already had 3 people looking at the house within 24 hours. So the delay was actually them getting the house spruced up. So folks, there's opportunities out here left and right, but Dee talked about this. You need to communicate. You need to communicate. So Dee, prior to communication and prior to them actually getting on the phone and getting in that right mindset, I want to delve into a little bit about psoriasis analysis. Can you break that down to the folks what that is?
Yeah. So a lot of times, like I say, since we're dealing in real estate, especially if you're looking at wholesaling, that aspect of it, is really high ticket sales. You're not really considered really an investor because you're really assigning interest, equitable interest in a home to somebody else, right? So it's really considered like a high ticket sales position, right? And the money is very attractive and lucrative, especially if you're broke or you just want to break away from what you're currently doing, okay? The only problem is that we can sometimes overthink the whole process, right? Another thing we can do is that once we're met with a whole bunch of objections or rejections from possible leads, it shuts many of us down. So we freeze in place. Like, maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I need to try this. Maybe if I just, maybe I go out and do something else, I'll come back to it, right? Because you're fearing the rejection part, which is a normal part of the process, right? So you're frozen in this position where you're overthinking it, and it becomes to feel like quicksand, right? So he's like, I'm gonna call tomorrow. That tomorrow turns into, I'm gonna call at the end of the week, to I'm gonna call next week, to I'm gonna send that text out next month, to next thing you know, 3, 4, 5 months have passed and you haven't done any outbound marketing, any inbound marketing. You haven't been talking to sellers. You haven't been talking to buyers. You haven't been talking to private money lenders. You haven't been talking to anybody, but you still have this idea that you're going to go out here and make some money, but you're stuck. That is analysis paralysis that gets the best of people. Yeah, because I know it got the best of me.
I knew I was
especially
saying
when I got started. Say it again.
No, D, I was like, I knew I was saying it wrong. So analysis paralysis, folks. Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, you good. Yeah, so with that, and a lot of people get into that, right? Especially in our industry, because they start out so excited and then they get beat up a little bit, and it's like, oh my God, I don't know. They start that self-doubt starts to seep in and slow you down till you begin to get paralyzed, right? So one of the things you want to do to overcome that, again, is what are you feeding your mind, right? Are you only feeding your mind those negative thoughts, right? Because if you only feed negative thoughts into your mind, you can't expect a positive result in your life. You just can't, right? Another thing that analysis paralysis does is it brings you back to wherever you were comfortable at, even if where your comfort was toxic, right? So you at a job you don't like, you could be not making enough money or making great money, but you know you're not supposed to be there. You meant for more, but since it didn't work out that first day or that first week in wholesaling, right? That means, oh my God, maybe it's not meant for you. Maybe it's not meant for me, right? And I'm telling you, that's a lie. That's a lie, right? The thing is, what you want to do is feed your mind good knowledge, good information, right? Like books like Think and Grow Rich, right? Mm-hmm. Okay? Laws of human nature, okay? These are things you want to really, really, really feed yourself. Objections, millionaire success habits, atomic habits, you know what I'm saying? 4 disciplines of execution, right? 7 habits of highly effective people, the one thing, the person of interest, the compound effect, how to win friends and influence others, traction, the science of getting rich, the upside of fear. You need to be feeding your mind all of these good meats and vegetables, right? So you can overcome that paralysis that has you stuck and sinking down into nowhere, into that abyss, right? Again, you need to hang around people who are out here doing the damn thing. You have to surround yourself with people like that, right? Get away from those negative, toxic people, or even sometimes with your family members, right? Things are not popping off in your business as quickly as you like, so you go and have a heart-to-heart with, I don't know, maybe your mom or your cousin or your dad or your sibling, and they actually talk you out of it. Maybe you need to quit that, go get a job, or maybe you just need to focus on your job and just try to get a 25-cent raise. Right? Now, the thing is, it's going to sound like they're hating, but a lot of times they're not even hating. What they're doing is they're loving you into comfort.
Yep,
that's what they're doing. They're
loving you into a comfort zone.
Yeah, they're putting you back into a comfort zone because they know you can do that 9-to-5 job or that small business that you were already working on before, that trucking company, right? So they already know you can do that. But the thing is, you know you're meant for more. Go to a new chapter in your life, right? So you have to be mindful of who you're talking about with this information, right? Talk with people who mimic, who reflect the life that you want. Those are the people you need to be having more conversations with. Because I'm telling you, whatever you're going through, they went through it themselves, right? We've all went through this. It's just part of the process. But I'm telling you, on the other side of this process, once you get over that, get to that mountain peak, you'll be able to see over and see it's nothing but beautiful riches and glory for you, right? Now, it's not going to be easy because it's not meant to be easy, but you can do it if you have the right system, blueprint in place, and you're consistent, all right? So you do that, that helps you out with your analysis paralysis. Another thing is repetition, right? Not just any kind of repetition, but actually getting out here every day. Like every day, I'm going to go out here and talk to leads, prospects, sellers, buyers. Every day, I'm going to talk to them. No matter how much I get rejected, no matter how many no's they tell me, no matter how many doors get slammed in my face, right? No, how many responses and texts that cuss me out, I'm going to continue to do it because I believe that I am meant for greatness. I believe that I am meant to be successful in real estate. You have to identify that with yourself. And the more you identify with that, the more you will attract it through consistent action and hanging around the right people and feeding your mind the right information. So if you do that, that helps you get over that analysis paralysis. Squat up.
I love that. Wow. I really love that, man. And to add on to that, folks, Dee mentioned another C word. You know, we first talked about communication, and Dee mentioned another C word, and that's consistency. A lot of folks definitely have that up and down, and even the successful ones. Please don't think that, the person who has $1 million in the bank or the person that's working on a $10 million multifamily deal, they still get it to where it's like, maybe this isn't enough, or maybe I'm not still reaching my peak, or maybe I should be going out and getting more. There's always going to be that self-doubt that comes into people's mind, but as long as you stay consistent, the key word is consistent and having those repetitive actions. The definition of grind is doing repetitive actions in order to reach a goal. You want to get stronger, you do 5 push-ups a day. Those 5 push-ups will build up your stamina, will build up your metabolism, and build up your strength. So consistently doing something every single day will get you through there. Now, will you have those bad days? By all means. Will you have that week where you're like, you know what, I just really can't get to it? That's fine. I don't want you to think that it's like, oh, well, I don't have time to be consistent. You'll find time. If you really, really want this, you will find time, whether it be waking up 10 minutes early, 15 minutes early, or as soon as everybody's asleep in the house, spending that extra 10 to 15 minutes on your craft. It doesn't take that much time to simply play Think and Grow Rich, which, by the way, is free on YouTube. And it's a 2-hour, 18-minute video done by Napoleon Hill. And trust me, 10 to 15 minutes a day will actually build up, because there's going to be a moment where you're like, 15 minutes? Nah, I need to spend an hour on this, or I need to get 2 hours on this. But I don't want you to feel that you need to spend too much time on growing your mindset. And Dee, I actually want to pick your brain for that. So if somebody's going through all these books that you mentioned, Think and Grow Rich, and they want to go back to review it time and time again, when is the right time to say, like, hey, it's been a week of me doing this, now I should be taking action? Or how long should a person wait before they do take action?
I think it all depends on where they're starting at, right? It really going to depend on where you're starting at, right? So if you've never done entrepreneurship, you don't really know what it is, you're just kind of interested in it, you want to read some books about it, right? So start there first and figure out your groove, right? If you do have some entrepreneurial experience, or you have been exposed to it, I know real estate is where I want to be. Even if you got a small dose of it growing up, or even as an adult, I still recommend starting with some books, right? Also, with wholesaling is such a basic concept, right, that you can find blueprints on how to wholesale. I mean, it's like a million dozen of them, right? Just select one of them, right, and then begin to take action. I do recommend, if you're really, really serious and really, really hit the ground running, obviously collaborate with people, get a mentor or a coach. Now, a coach, a lot of times, is going to cost, but if you're serious and you're going to put in the work, most definitely get a coach. But try to put in the work yourself at first. right? So you have a basis, a reference point of where you need to go, right? So that's what I would recommend for that. But as soon as you possibly can, right? So spend a week or two, read. It don't take that long to read a book, right?
Right.
Or at least
Especially
get
if
into
it's
the book,
audio.
right? Yeah. Even if you got an audio book, right? Take a week or two to read. Week 3, 4, you need to be pumping it. You need to be humping it, taking action. You need to go out, drive for dollars. You need to be making some phone calls. I'm not telling you go out and get a $1,000, $3,000 system every month, but you need to be doing something that's going to bring in a specific type of actionable step on a consistent basis that can provide a predictable revenue, right? So if you know I got to spend X amount of hours, and within those X amount of hours, I'll be able to have 20 quality conversations. Okay, these are things you got to reflect on, right? I can have 20 quality conversations in a day or in 2 days, and then I notice after I have about, say, 100 qualified conversations, right? Really quality conversations, I know I generally get something on the contract or I get a deal. Well, after that, you just need to do more of that. How can I do more of that in my life to really scale up? So after that week or two, you need to be humping it. And you should, by that time, you should already pointed out somebody, got a blueprint, and start working it. That's what I would do. Taking action and talking to sellers as much as you can. And don't focus so much about, am I going to screw up? I'm telling you right now, you're going to screw up. It's just part of the process. You have to embrace the failure, right? But that's what separates people that's gonna quit, people that just halfway decent, people who are good, and people who are great at this, right? You have to embrace that fear because you have to get through the fear. There's no way around it. You can't pay your way around it. You just can't. It's just, you have to embrace it. So embrace it, take it to the chest, and get through it. Because the more you do it, the more repetition you get, the more consistent you get at it, the better you get at it, and the better you'll be able to elevate, especially when you're feeding yourself the right things, you're surrounded by the right people, and you're taking the right measured actions on a consistent basis.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I wanted to discuss real quick on driving for dollars, folks, because for me, this is for me. And I heard when I was starting off, getting into the real estate game and learning so much about it, the driving for dollars concept seemed too simple to be real. Folks, listen up, please. Get your pen and paper out or get ready to rewind this and play it over again. Driving for dollars is getting in your car or using the 2 legs that God bless you with, or getting on a bike, going around in your neighborhood or to another neighborhood that's nearby and walking around, going around, looking for houses that seem distressed, or simply it might just have a great big old sign that says for sale by owner. If you got the for sale by owner, you're in luck. You are going to contact that individual and inquire with them, hey, have they ever thought about selling their home and how you can go about assisting them? And then you just go from there, folks. It's just a matter of getting out there, driving for the dollars, researching. Now, if for those that are afraid to give a phone call, for those that say like, well, Dan, I'm too busy, or D, I really just can't get out there and make all these phone calls. I got a job and family to take care of. Okay, cool. Let's back this up a bit. So now you have this thing called slide broadcast, and there's plenty of them out there where you can actually just drop voicemails in the homeowner's voicemail box. So once you do a skip trace, and you feel free to utilize REI skip because that's what I use. It's about 15 cents per lead, but of course, the more leads or skips that you purchase, it becomes lesser and lesser. So for 15 cents for 1 lead, you pull up their phone number, easily get their phone number, and you have, of course, their address, you have the owner's name and their phone number, and if you get lucky enough, you might have their email as well. You reach out to them and say, hi, I'm a local investor, or I work with buyers who are investing in this neighborhood and would like to talk to you about the value of your home, and then you wait. But you have to consistently do this over and over and over again. Just like Dee said, you're gonna get rejected. You're gonna get people that say no. You're gonna get those individuals that say, what? I'm not interested in selling my house. You're going to get cussed out. It's fine. But I'm pretty sure in life that there has been a moment, especially if you were in your adult years listening to this, that you have been cussed out or chewed at before or been reprimanded on something that you did or did not do wrong. So that's fine that it happens. But in this matter, and in this case, we're just trying to put money in your pockets so you can build your empire to where it needs to be at. So, Dee, before I let you go, man, what advice? Now, if real estate is just not in their mindset and they're like, you know what, I could do better with, my clothing line. I could do better with this avenue, or I'm a fitness coach. What advice would you give to somebody as far as looking to get their business started?
Is it specifically in real estate?
No, just in general. For somebody who says that, you know what, I understand real estate is profitable. I understand that real estate's not going anywhere. I understand that real estate will probably put $1 million in my pocket next year. No worries. But for whatever reason, they don't want to do real estate, but they want to focus on their own personal passion. What advice would you give to somebody getting their own business started?
Yeah, so the principles are the same. It doesn't change whether you're doing real estate, you're doing stocks, you're trying to start a trucking company, you want to own a barbershop, or you have a, some other products or service type of company. One of the best things you can do is really immerse yourself in the culture, right? You have to treat it like a lifestyle, not just like a hobby, okay? The more seriously you take it, the more serious results you're going to get in the end, right? So I still recommend reading books, right? If you don't like reading books, get it on audio. If you don't want to do the audio, listen to podcasts, okay? In your specific industry, and also just in entrepreneurship in general, right? Because you're going to start to realize there's a correlation between people who are successful. They have a lot of similar principles that they apply in their business and how to build their culture, their brand, and how to get results at the end of the day, okay? Another thing is join groups online, right? So you got to surround yourself with the right people, right? So you can't really go out to meetups like we were before COVID. So you want to join any groups that have that topic on Facebook, number one. Number two, if you're on Instagram, right, search for hashtags that are related to your business venture that you're looking to get into, right? Mm-hmm. Follow those people. And you will begin to notice that the top people follow the people that they follow, okay? All right, so this way you can continue to get fed this good information, right? When you get a chance, get a coach or a mentor, right? Another thing I recommend do, work out what do you want, okay? What do you want from this besides the money? Obviously, I know you want the money, right? I know you want the freedom, but what do you want from this, okay? And why do you want it? You need to literally write that down. You may know right off the bat why you want it. Or it may take you a couple of days, like what do you want? But you need to write it down. Like seriously, write it down. And it may change over time, but you need to write it down when it does change. All right? Another thing you're gonna want to do is get a blueprint where you can take the next steps on starting your business. All right? Now you might have to pay $97 on the webinar, and they may teach you how to start a food stand business, whatever it is, right? Learn and say, what can I do to get a blueprint and begin to take some real actionable steps. Another thing you want to do, and also go ahead and actually take those steps. Another thing you want to do, start working on your credit. Start working on your credit, all right? Because at the end of the day, any business, if you're in business long enough, you will have a liquidity problem, right? Having enough business credit will help solve that issue, so you're not scrambling, being desperate, giving up an absurd amount of equity in your business just because of a temporary financial situation. So start working on your personal credit now. Then that way you can really start to begin to get some serious business credit that you can apply and utilize within your business when the time arises. So prepare yourself now, because you will need it if you want to do some massive scaling in your business, right? And be consistent, right? Continue to feed your mind positive information, be consistent, and just continue to immerse yourself in whatever it is you want to do. And if you're really, really serious and you do this, you're going to have success.
Wow. Oh man, Dee, I'm hoping that the folks at home took this to heart. I'm hoping that they got a lot of information out of this. Folks, if you're listening, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, my uprising entrepreneurs, no matter what field you're in, the advice that was just shared on this podcast will make you a millionaire. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We broke down so many things for you that there's no reason why you should be like, oh, well, I can't do it, or there's no way for me to do it. Dee broke down as far as how you can get connected with people. I gave you some action tips as far as what you can be doing right now. And we're giving out free books for you as well that you can start researching, and tools that you can utilize right now. And a lot of this really is not about money. It's just the fact of the time itself that you need to take to do it. So folks, get out there, find the time, get that business started, whether it be in real estate or just in general, finding your passion. So Dee, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to come on the radio show, man, to discuss this.
Yeah, my pleasure, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. So folks at home, tune in live Monday through Friday to check out the RNG radio show on Facebook Live at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or if you just happen to check out the replay, you can check us out on YouTube. Dee, appreciate you again, man.
I appreciate you too, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Fleslet on the beat.